Hi, all of you wonderful scuba divers out there. Welcome to the Scuba Diver Magazine podcast, which is sponsored by Scubapro, who are celebrating their 60th year of being an iconic scuba diving brand. And Scubapro also has a few offers that I'm going to break down later on in this podcast. But yeah, I've been away for a couple of weeks, which some of you may have noticed. I'll explain why towards the end of the podcast after the news and whatnot. And yeah, I've been away, so there's been a ton of news from a pair of liveaboards sinking, two of them. That was quite surprising, and a kissing scandal involving a dive guide. So yeah, let's dive straight into the first story, which is that a pair of liveaboards, one in the Red Sea and one I forget where, in the Philippines, I want to say, which was quite a surprise. So the first one was the Carlton Queen, which capsized and sunk near Sa'ab Abu Nahas in the northern Egyptian Red Sea. All guests and crew members were reported to have been rescued with no more than just minor injuries and, of course, lost possessions. And that was on the 24th of April. So, it was actually a nearby liveaboard, the VIP Shrook, I think it's pronounced, was involved in the rescue along with the Egyptian Navy. And Egypt's Chamber of Diving and Water Sports later thanked VIP Shrook's crew for their quick and professional rescue and assistance to the tourists and crew members on board the capsized boat. Now, I couldn't find an actual reason, or at least an obvious reason being reported, as in they struck something and it sank or whatever. The best that I could find was that they had been wreck diving at Abu Nahas since the boat's departure the previous day, and according to unconfirmed reports, it had been listing since the start of the trip, and then just kept filling up with water whilst manoeuvring in mounting seas, remaining on the surface for a time on its starboard side before eventually capsizing. So that's all unconfirmed. I couldn't find a definitive, yes, this is exactly what's happened. But yeah, it's true. The other one was the liveaboard, the Dreamkeeper, which was in the Philippines, and there was actually a search looking for 4 people who were missing after the liveaboard sank in a sudden squall on Sunday morning. That was the 30th of April, and the liveaboard had left San Remigio on Cebu on the Thursday and made its way 250 nautical miles to the diving hotspot in the middle of the Sulu Sea, and that's where the sudden squall seemed to have got into or caused trouble. And there were 12 guests, 15 crew members, and a 5-man dive team all aboard. And according to reports, there were 4 people missing, who was the vessel's owner, a dive master, and 2 guests as well. And the Filipino Coast Guard were coordinating the search and rescue operation. And again, not a huge amount of information, or at least confirmed information, coming out of this one. So hopefully it's they'll be recovered if they haven't already. Maybe I just haven't found the correct news story, but yeah, that was quite a surprising one. Another one that came out of nowhere, at least for me, was Simply Scuba disappearing. So for those of you who don't know, I used to work for Simply Scuba for a good 10 years or something, and yeah, the company has gone into administration, or at least the company that owns Simply Scuba has gone into administration. So yeah, this is a weird repetition of history, because let me wind the clocks all the way back to literally pre-COVID. It's quite funny. So I was actually out of the country. I was over in Australia when COVID hit. It was a thing, but some people were worried about it. Most people weren't, and I was actually I was out of the country when it started to get serious. And shops were closing down, and you had to line up out front with an appointment or whatnot to actually turn up. So, and then when we were scheduled to fly back, that's when it got really serious. It was literally that week. So I flew back, and yeah, it was the government was talking about furlough schemes and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I was furloughed with the rest of the crew at Simply Scuba, and then in, I think it was April 2020, that's when we all got the phone call that we were being made redundant, and Simply Scuba was going into administration. So yeah, started to look for other work, and that's when I actually first started working with the boys and girls at Scuba Diver magazine, and then Simply Scuba was bought by a company called the Internet Fusion Group, who had other companies like Surf Dome and Country Attire, lots of different websites that sold things, and they added Simply Scuba to the list. And yeah, last week for me recording this, yeah, Internet Fusion Group has gone into administration. Well, no, correction, they've been bought by a members only marketplace which is called Brand Alley. So it's a website, and they have bought certain assets from Internet Fusion Group (IFG), which includes the logos, the brand names, and the trademarks. And they've confirmed that none of the Internet Fusion Group domains, so Simply Scuba included, are going to continue to trade. And some of the employees of Internet Fusion Group, Simply Scuba included, were made redundant on Friday, the 28th of April. And one thing that Brand Alley did do is they did actually like rehire 125 people. They acquired the logistics operations and the customer service division, so they did like continue to employ a fair amount. It's almost half of the actual Internet Fusion staff. But yeah, Simply Scuba, I think, has really disappeared this time. I'm just intrigued to try and work out where all of the stock is and where that's going to be sold, because if that's going to be sold off at a discount, I would be interested in a few bits and bobs. But yeah, that news just kind of like popped up because I was away. I was basically on a boat for a couple of weeks, and the signal wasn't amazing where we were. So only checking the news like periodically, and yeah, this email popped up, and it was from Simply Scuba. It wasn't directly to me. It was a what do you call it? Like marketing email to everyone on their mailing list, and basically said that yeah, no, we're now part of the Brand Alley group, and yeah, we're no longer going to be trading. I think they're, I forget the exact wording, but they're basically saying that yeah, if you place an order and it's been shipped, then yeah, it should still like find its way to you. But yeah, all of the websites, if you go to simplyscuba.com, it just takes you straight to Brand Alley. Which I haven't been able to find any scuba diving equipment on there. I don't know whether they're planning on putting it up on there to sell it through, because they're basically a website, and they get like big top name brands, and they just sell it at discount, like 50-80% in some cases I've seen. So but it's for like members only, so you have to sign up, and you get like 3 emails a day about all the different like offers they're up. And I don't know whether they're going to put any scuba diving equipment on there that was stock of Simply Scuba, but who knows? Time will tell, because it might just be they have to like transfer across to the different platform that they're working on. But yeah, hey, that was a surprising morning. Whilst I was eating breakfast, and I was like, oh, okay, that's wasn't expecting that. What else has happened in the news? Yeah, police have actually arrested a 27-year-old assistant dive master in Sabah on suspicion of molesting a female diver whilst they were underwater together on the 5th of May. So the police have arrested this part-time worker. They work at a local dive center taken into custody from his home in a water village on the 7th of May. And it was a 24-year-old Chinese woman who had been on holiday in Malaysia and said to have reported the alleged incidents at around 10 a.m. the day after it occurred. And shortly after this, she boarded a flight home via Kuala Lumpur and started to post about her experiences on social media, which is just the modern thing, the way people report things nowadays. And according to a Semporna police statement, the woman had been diving at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon in a group off the resort island of Mata King, where she claims that the dive master, or assistant dive master as they're named, had kissed her underwater without her consent. She is also said to have reported that the dive master had used the WeChat app to pester her into spending the night with him before she returned home. So yeah, he was remanded into custody until the 11th of May, when the police investigating the case under a section of the penal code that refers to using criminal force to threaten a victim's modesty. So yeah, the Chinese lady shared her account of the incident on a Chinese video app which is similar to TikTok, and expressed her hope that the Sabah authorities would take action against the dive master so that no one else would have to experience similar harassment. And her post had led to images taken by another diver in the water purporting to show the stolen kiss being widely shared on social media, along with a police report and examples of alleged dialogue between the assistant dive master and the woman. And in Malaysia, this online activity in turn prompted a local group, the Sabah Dive Squad Club, to issue a call for dive staff members to act professionally at all times. Right, everyone, stop doing this. It might just be fun and games, but actually, in the modern world, no, we don't do this anymore. And for operators to conduct refresher training on the code of ethics governing relationships between staff and clients. Operators needed to check qualifications for all dive staff, said the club, whilst visiting divers should ensure that they dived only with approved dive centres. And such precautions would, it said, protect the reputation of the diving and tourism industries and prevent lawsuits against dive operations. The calls to tourism operators were then echoed by Sabah's police commissioner at the a press conference. So yeah, can't be doing that anymore. It might be something that is just, oh yeah, kind of everyone does it. It makes for like a fun photo and all that kind of stuff. But actually, no, it's kind of creepy, especially when it gets into the like WeChat, like messaging the client afterwards. Yeah, that's hella creepy. So just avoid that. Keep it professional, regardless. And yeah, that way, if you're a diving professional, you should stay out of hot water. But yeah, it is just a matter of don't. It might be fun and games, maybe with your friends and whatnot. But yeah, when you're the professional diver there, you're leading the group and they're paying clients. Yeah, no, just be fun. By all means, be fun and enthusiastic, but no, don't go that close. No touching, none of that kind of stuff, because it will literally get you in hot water. A news story comes out of Shearwater, and they this week introduced the Shearwater Peregrine Adventures Edition. So from what I can tell, this is mostly cosmetic. They have a light and a dark edition. So traditionally, the Peregrine, which is more of a like entry level dive computer, it was available in black. Most dive equipment comes in black, but now it comes in a. It's pretty much white. The strap looks completely white, but the casing around the computer is just grayish white, and it has some like aqua turquoise like strap retainers on it. And I think I've seen the bungee that comes with it is also like a turquoisey color. That's the light edition. There's also the dark edition, which is ironically lighter than the black standard edition. But the dark edition is like a gunmetal grey. with a flash of orange. So the bungee is orange and the strap retainers are orange on this one. Similar to, if you remember the Fourth Element Tech fins, they have a like gunmetal grey version, and then the heel fin strap retainer is orange. That colorway. Um, Otherwise, I don't think there's any like internal difference. They're not going to run any faster or do anything different. It's still the same like peregrine on the inside. It's just two different colors. I haven't seen if this is like just standard along their range now. Because they're calling it the Adventure Edition. Shearwater have done this with quite a few of their dive computers, the Terek in particular, where they have limited edition versions of it. So instead of the standard black, you at one point there was a gold version, there was a gold and red version, which everyone at the dive center, we called it the Iron Man edition, but it was for it was celebrating Chinese New Year, and they only made a certain number of those. So if you like it, get in there quick, because it may not be a like a running colorway that they're always going to continue to produce. It might be limited edition. I haven't seen it specifically say limited edition anywhere, but yeah, if you like it, you want one, and you find one in stock, get it, because it may not be permanent. But yeah, a nice funky colorway. And as I mentioned at the start of the podcast, this podcast is sponsored by the scuba diving giant, which is Scubapro, who have been making great dive equipment all the way since 1963. They were one of the first. And Scubapro makes everything from masks, snorkels, and fins, the real like ABCDs, to wetsuits, dry suits, dive computers. They have a beautiful range of regulators. You name it, you can literally cover yourself head to toe in scuba diving equipment. And the entire range of products divers love, because I mean, if you take their fins, for example, they still make their jet fins, which are from the 1960s. I think they started in 1965, but divers still want them. So Scubapro still have to make them because they simply got it right, and it's a product that works. The only upgrade that the jet fins have had over the years is they've added spring heel straps. So yeah, they still make that, but they also make some of the most cutting edge fins today with things like the Sea-Wing Nova and the Supernova. So Scubapro covers the entire range of dive gear, from their heritage dive equipments to modern technology, and things like their wetsuits, their Everflex wetsuits. They're now using Ulex, which is a plant-based alternative to neoprene, which is much more environmentally friendly. And right now, Scubapro has a pair of offers at participating dealers. The first one is a free Octo offer. So if you buy a Scubapro S620 Ti or the D420 with either the Mark 19 Evo or the Mark 25 Evo first stages, then you're going to get the S270 Octo absolutely free, which is a really great way of just building a regulator set, and of course saving yourself some money, because you're basically there. All you need to do is add some gauges, and then the BCD hose comes from your BCD anyway. The D420 second stage may look a little bit different to other second stages, but the way it's designed, it breathes beautifully. It's a really nice second stage. The S620 Ti is a clever combination of the best features of other Scubapro second stages, and then just put all together in one. So they looked at the S600, they looked at the the S600 and the A700. They took the best bits and kind of put it all in one, and that's the S620 Ti, and it's just a great all-rounder of a second stage. The free Octo offer also extends to their S600, which is a very popular regulator, with either the Mark 25 Evo or the Mark 17 Evo first stage, which really is one of Scubapro's most popular regulators, or at least it sold extremely well when I used to sell them. It's a strong, good-looking all-rounder. That and the G260, which is very similar to the S600. It's just made to be a bit more like, or at least look a bit more rugged, or the new G260 Carbon Black tech, which has carbon fiber detailing on the front with the Mark 25 Evo or the Mark 19 Evo. Either of those, the S600, the G260, or the G260 Carbon Black tech, you get a free R105 Octo. Now, I know that's a lot of numbers that I've just thrown at you. So if you visit your local Scubapro dealer, or if you visit Scubapro's website, scubapro.johnsonOutdoors.com, but I think if you just type in scubapro.com, it automatically forwards you to that. They actually have a dealer locator on Scubapro's website where you can find your nearest dealer and they can help find the right regulator for you. The second offer is a dry suit promotion, which is a great way to save some money or get yourself a fancier dry suit combination in your budget, because if you buy a neoprene Everdry 4 or an ExoDry dry suit, you can get a free K2 light undersuit set. Or if you want something a little bit thicker, you can get the K2 medium thickness undersuit for just £99, which normally has a suggested retail price of £298. So you're saving yourself the best part of, £200. Or if you prefer a tri-laminate dry suit, if you buy the Scubapro EverTech breathable dry suit or the Definition Dry, then you can get the K2 Extreme undersuit for free. Which is a great way to stay warmer in the water. The K2 Extreme, it has these dedicated sections like over the shoulders, over the chest, which is compression resistant. So yeah, it is just a more efficient dry suit undersuit. But yeah, I tend to wear my dry suit year round here in the UK, both in the summer and the winter times. So a dry suit is a real good investment. Both of these offers, the free Octo offer and the dry suit offer, they're running up until the end of July this year in certain regions. If you're listening to this in a different country, then unfortunately you're going to have to double check if this offer is actually running in your country. And of course, it's only running at participating dealers. So do ask them first before you turn up, just demanding free Scubapro equipment. But yeah, if you're in for a bargain, you need a new set of regulators or you need a new dry suit, it's definitely worth checking out Scubapro. And yeah, I've been away for a couple of weeks. I've been diving in Cornwall, but not, I mean, I was having fun, but I was working. I was on a HSE professional scuba course, which is, it's like the introductory course to commercial diving. So you're diving on scuba, so it's not surface supply. You're still diving on a cylinder and a bailout, but you're still using the like Kirby Morgan band masks, and you're just learning how to sort of use that and work in a HSE environment. And yeah, it's a 2-week course. It was the ECHA course, which is basically the full course. I think is 4 weeks long, but they condense it down into 2 weeks because you're just living on the boat and you're just living and breathing the course for 2 weeks straight, which is a great way of doing it. I did it with commercial diver training down in Cornwall. Fantastic group of instructors and staff. The facilities are amazing. They've got multiple diving vessels, and they were previously I think one was a liveaboard, I think one was a lifeguard or a Coast Guard's vessel, I believe. I forget. But yeah, they have everything there. Nice, friendly staff, and I was quite worried it was going to be just full on because I already knew it was a condensed course to try and do things as quickly as possible. But they did it really nice and gradually, and they build you up to things. And yeah, we did everything from like line communications, because you're always tethered in the unlikely event that your like communication, because in like a Kirby Morgan helmet and some of the Arga masks that we're using, if the communications ever failed and you can't literally talk to the people on the surface, you need to be able to communicate with someone by pulling on the rope, which did remind me of the old Simpsons episode where Bart is sent underwater by Grandpa, and yeah, it's like, oh, if you're in trouble, pull on the rope like 85 times or whatnot. It did feel a bit like that at times, because you have the difference between pulls and bells, and a pull is a good like meter slow pull on the rope, and then bells are more of just a quick yank of the rope, and depending on how many pulls and how many yanks, you can communicate different messages backwards and forwards, and of course you have to memorize these as a diver, and have it all in your head to think, okay, they've given me like three bulls or three pulls. What does that mean? Yeah, it's once you get your head around it, it's quite good. But yeah, it takes a lot of learning to remember like pulls and bells and which the combinations mean. But we did more than that. Most of it was like leaning more towards the commercial dive side of things. So we were doing like propeller and rudder inspections and measuring chain surveys. So measuring the wire thickness and the combination thickness, and just looking for corrosion and all that kind of stuff. And that was fascinating to do. And then of course we'd have to recreate all of that like information that we've taken back up on the surface. Seabed surveys as well. We had to do a night dive as well, so we're tying knots. That, I mean, I don't think anyone was particularly looking forward to that. We were all professional divers, I believe, on the course, and it was just like we had to do this night dive. We'd all been on night dives before, and all the exercise was is that we'd had to go into the water. We found a trapeze, and we'd have to tie a bunch of knots just to make sure that we could do them like in the dark. I don't think they gave us torches, but I don't think anyone like really needed them. So you're sort of like tying these knots. But where we were in this river, there was this huge amount of bioluminescent plankton, which is the stuff as you move, it lights up. So as you're tying these knots in this like big Kirby Morgan helmet, there's all these like green sparkles going on in the water, which I wasn't really expecting. So I was like, oh, this is really like trippy exercise to be doing at I think it was only like 9 o'clock at night, but it was dark at that point. You're like, yeah, this is pretty cool. I could get used to this. But yeah, good course. We had to go back to basics with Navy dive tables, because that was the biggest thing, or like culture shock, as it were. Because in commercial diving, you don't really use dive computers, or you don't use them at all, really. We did have a depth gauge and a bottom timer for one of the dives, for one of the deeper dives, but that was about it. Everything else is just done by like experience, because again, it's the like commercial way of doing things. So you go down to your maximum depth where your job is, you do your job, and that's your bottom depth and your bottom time, and then you ascend. So it's a very square dive profile. So and a dive computer, they basically the algorithms, they don't really jive with the Navy dive tables all the time. So it's just like, it is not really worth bringing a dive computer. We're gonna sort out your dive profile, make sure that you're ascending at the correct rate. And hats off to the supervisor, because they have to monitor 3 divers simultaneously as soon as they leave the surface, when they reach the bottom, when they leave the bottom, and as they're ascending, they have to calculate their ascent rate based on a stopwatch and your reported depth as you're ascending. And they tell you whether you're coming up too fast, you're too slow, you can speed it up or stop. Yeah, incredible what they're doing. And yeah, afterwards, one of the things is that, of course, the US Navy dive tables, they're all done in imperial measurements. So it's all done in feet. So we're we're talking in meters, because a lot of the dive equipment and the gauges and things in here in the UK are metric. But then when you go to log your dive, you have to do it. You have to convert it into feet, and then write down your dive profile in feet. So it takes a while to get your head around it. Luckily, the US Navy dive tables, the PADI dive tables are based off of the US Navy dive tables, and because I was a PADI instructor who used to teach the old-fashioned tables, as soon as we like open them up, you're like, oh, I recognize this. The numbers and everything might be a little bit different, but actually the procedures on how to work out, I mean, they don't call it your pressure group, but how to work out your pressure group, how to work out your surface interval, and then your residual nitrogen and whatnot. That whole procedure, I'd already learnt that, and I'd already taught that years and years ago. I just had to like dust off my knowledge of dive tables. So yeah, no, it is a great experience, and yeah, I can't recommend the Commercial Diver Training Group anymore. Head over to their website. I think it is just commercialdivertraining.co.uk. Fantastic group of instructors and staff. And yeah, you really do use the equipment, and they go above and beyond. Some dive courses can be a bit just, okay, you need to do this, you need to do that. That's all we're going to teach you. But they treat you like an actual dive team. So if you're moving into commercial diving, you're more familiar with what's like expected of you and what's actually going to happen. And they really do help you out in that, oh, actually, this is a better way of doing such and such. And they've all been there, they've seen it, they've done it, like proper commercial saturation divers and all that stuff. They have the company also has a functioning commercial diving team. So the vessels that you're learning on, they're actually commercial diving vessels who then go off and they'll do a job and they'll come back. So, and all of the equipment as well, it's all what they actually use. So yeah, if you're thinking about going into like commercial diving, then yeah, that's a great place to start. If you're thinking about going into like underwater media, underwater archaeology, then yeah, you're going to need this HSE ticket. It's widely viewed as probably the best like accreditation in the world, and because it's like the safest and the most thorough, where some others are a bit more just just get the divers in the water. HSE has full like requirements. You have to do this, you have to do that, and yeah, if you get this and you're looking for work, then the companies that they're going to love it, and they're going to go, oh yeah, you've got the HSE professional scuba, or at least the HSE course. Yeah, this guy or gal, because there was a girl on the course and she did fantastic. Yeah, no, definitely, if you're thinking about it, check them out. Commercialdivertraining.co.uk. And that's about it for this week. I didn't want to ramble on too long because there's quite a lot of other news. Fourth Element are planting a tree for every online order. A tiger shark, or sorry, I should say a third sand tiger shark, was found near the UK. Seahorse expert receives prestigious award. Shearwater Research has gained a new CEO. There's been lots of news. I didn't want to spend too much time chatting about it, so I'll put all of the real interesting news in next week's podcast. But yeah, remember to head over to our website, scubadivermag.com. If you're not listening to this on YouTube, then yeah, you can head over. You can find us on YouTube. You can find this podcast on YouTube, which might be where a lot of people are listening to it on. If you're not, like and subscribe wherever you're listening. Yeah, remember to head over to Scubapro's website and check out their free Octo or free, or at least reduced price dry suit undersuit offer. Yeah, thank you for listening, everybody, and of course, safe diving.